Bungie recently implemented a new buff into the PvP sandbox to try to help lightweight pulse rifles find a little bit more of a presence in the Crucible. This buff, it basically added some built-in forgiveness to the pulse rifle subfamily, and while it didn't change the optimal TTK at all for these pulses, that stays the same. This buff changed the ratio of headshots to body shots required for a kill. So ultimately, lightweight pulses now require 6 headshots and 2 body shots to drop a Guardian with 5 resilience and below, instead of the old 7 headshots and 1 body shot. And they will require 7 headshots and 1 body shot to drop a Guardian with 6 or more resilience, instead of the old all 8 headshots, no body shots. It used to demand absolute perfection from you, these lightweight pulse rifles. So this helped all lightweights get a leg up in PvP, and the exotics, well, they were no exception. This brings us to the weapon around which today's discussion will be. It's the Bad Juju. Bad Juju has been around for, a long time. It's been around for a while in Destiny 2, and it was previously an exotic at launch in Destiny 1. In fact, it was the first exotic that I ever got in Destiny because, well, it was a quest exotic, if you remember back in the day. It wasn't left up to RNG. So my first exotic drop, like actual drop, was Red Death, which I still miss to this day. But my first exotic in Destiny 1 was the Bad Juju, simply because I just did the quest immediately and got it, and I really liked it. So it has a little bit of a special place in my heart because of that reason. One of the main reasons this weapon hasn't been popular at all so far, it really is the fact that it was just so dang unforgiving. You had to hit literally all headshots in order to reach that optimal TTK of 0.87 seconds. And when you've got the Messenger out there dropping, which is a legendary, dropping people in 0.67 seconds, and then you've got Peace of Mind dropping people in 0.8 seconds, while still allowing you to hit 2 body shots to do it. I mean, man, that really was working against the Juju and other lightweights like, Chattering Bone and Outbreak. Now that the weapon doesn't require absolute perfection from its user, that 0.87 second optimal TTK, it's much easier to deal with. It's not so hard a pill to swallow. And honestly, the exotic perks on the Bad Juju, they're kind of nuts. Like, that's really where the value of this gun lies. And what separates it. It's really what convinces you to sacrifice that 0.67 optimal TTK on a Messenger or a 0.8 second optimal TTK on a Peace of Mind, because you look at what you're gaining as opposed to what you're losing in that TTK department. The exotic perks on the Juju, they're crazy. I mean, it's like having Thresh and Rampage with Rampage spec built into it. It's pretty dang nice. And on top of those two things, the Bad Juju, it's going to go ahead and reload itself completely whenever you get a final blow with the weapon. So having damage ramping up without having to waste time reloading, hey, that's so nice to have, especially in 6s. In 6s, this weapon will help you snowball kills, get your super faster without making you break out of engagements to manage reloads. I mean, honestly, that's a really freaking stacked deck in terms of exotic perks. So, do you want a throwback clip from 2015 when I was just a little baby Vanguard trying his hand at YouTube? I did a video 7 years ago showing off the Heart of Praxic Fire with the Bad Juju in Destiny 1. And I want to show you, just to remind you, I want to show you how much has changed since then. Bad Juju, it used to give you so much super energy. I mean, it was crazy. Look at this clip where I come out of my super and then I get a triple kill with the Juju. Just 3 kills with the Juju, and it ends up giving me 2/3 of my super back. 2/3. Running Juju, you could get your super up in 30 seconds. And the proof is in the pudding here. Can you even imagine if Bungie let you do that today in Destiny 2? What if someone was popping their golden gun every 30 seconds? Or their Ward of Dawn bubble every 30 seconds? Good lord, that would be an absolute nightmare. So, just sort of reminds you how far we've come. Back to Destiny 2, the recoil direction on the Bad Juju, by the way, it's a solid 85. Meaning it's basically straight up. It's very easy to manage. And with a stability value of 77, you're not going to be flinching too much either. That's pretty high in the stability department now that weapon flinch is related to that stability stat value. That's pretty nice. And some unflinching mods on the chest piece. Hey, you're looking at a bona fide laser beam here. So let's break down the String of Curses damage buff. This has obviously changed a little bit this season since the damage numbers on lightweights got bumped slightly. So the numbers on String of Curses they've changed as well. So at base, the Juju is going to do 27 to the head and 16 to the body. With one stack, this is where things are going to start changing. With just one stack of String of Curses, it jumps up to 30 to the head. Now this is going to drop the number of bullets required for a kill down from 8 to 7. So it's not a big difference, but it is faster. You're starting to get, in rapid fire pulse territory here. At 2 stacks of String of Curses, you're looking at 32 to the head and 20 to the body. So with that, now you're looking at a 2-burst kill if you land, all your headshots. You're now passing the rapid fire frame family. You're outgunning Peace of Minds. Pieces of Mind. Piece of Minds? I don't know. Where do you pluralize that? I don't know. Let's move on. That's pretty nasty. And before you say, okay, well, how often is that going to happen that you're going to get 1 or 2 stacks? Man, I get into fights one after the next all the time in PvP. People just run towards gunfire, especially in 6s. And String of Curses, it's got a pretty generous timer on it too, especially with the catalyst applied. So this happens. It really does happen a lot. And at 3 stacks, maybe, you're doing 35 to the head. You're going to be dumping on people if you get this thing ramped up. And it just goes up and up from there. You're going to be in the 40s after that. Just absolutely chewing through people like they're casual brush and you're a chainsaw. It's so fun when you get this thing going. Now, if you toss on a swift charge mod on a piece of arc armor and then high energy fire on another piece of armor, hey, you're going to be getting even more damage buffs mixed in with String of Curses. And you'll see that in the gameplay. Sometimes I'm getting extra damage just because I got charged with light from the pulse rifle kills. And it gives me that extra high energy fire damage boost on top of String of Curses. So put on an exotic siphon mod on a kinetic siphon mod on your helmet for some orbs of light on multi-kills with the Juju. And then slap on taking charge. You're in business. You're in business. Just damage buffs for days. It really is the small things. You really need to take the time to optimize stuff like that in your build. You'll be glad that you did it when it kicks in at the right time and it makes you win a fight that you would have otherwise lost. A lot of people look at these build optimizations and they say, well, how often is that going to help? How often is that going to help? Well, one thing that you add on, okay, I'm going to toss on the swift charge and high energy fire. Well, that might kick in 2 to 3 times a match maybe. So you're like, how often is it going to help? Well, 2 to 3 times a match isn't bad. But then I'm also putting on the siphon and taking charge, and I'm picking up orbs with light to get my high energy fire too. How often is that going to happen? Well, these things start to compound on top of one another. So it's not that any individual one of these things is going to change your build dramatically, but they start to stack on top of each other. And then suddenly you're realizing at the end of the match that all of those things working in conjunction with one another gave you damage boosts in half a dozen to a dozen of your gunfights in the match. That is a big deal. You can't argue with the bottom line there. So all this to say, hey, Bad Juju is back on the table as a legitimate option in 6s. The kill chaining potential is there like it's always been. The extra super energy gains is there like it's always been. But the requirement for absolute perfection in order to compete, hey, that's gone now. You can have a little wiggle room in there to get that optimal TTK without such a high demand on you to land everything to the head, right? So give it a shot, pick it back up, take it for a spin. I think you'll find that it's much more fun than it used to be now that that barrier of entry has been somewhat alleviated. So thanks for watching the video. I hope that you enjoyed the gameplay and the discussion. Please feel free to leave a like on the video only if you think I earned it, and subscribe for additional Destiny 2 content. Be warm and well fed, my friends, and I hope to catch you in the Crucible.